Alright, welcome in. Welcome all. It's Chris at wakeupgaming.com.
And I am Victor. Name work in progress, you know.
And I'm Mitchell, also Blueberry Lover, and Blueberry Lover on YouTube as well.
Alright. So,
Oh, yeah. Did I say my name? I did say my name.
yeah, you did say your name.
Okay.
Bro, this happened like 10 seconds ago.
Bro, right?
Your time is now, old man.
It's like, did you take your Alzheimer's medication? You're being very forgetful.
Well, I'm not. Wait, I'm not there yet, though.
I'm just messing with you.
I know.
It's funny because he's younger than both of us.
I know.
Hey, it's hereditary, okay? I'm joking.
You know what? Don't say that, because I do have it in my family. So.
Oh, that's
Okay, well,
tragic.
okay. That's a little tragic because I'm here like I know that it runs on my mom's dad's, my grandpa. He did have some Alzheimer's and dementia, but anywho, that's not the topic for today. What is the topic for today,
Yeah,
Chris?
so the topic for the day is you guys remember Atraxa Grand Unifier from that old set Phyrexia will be one?
Bro,
Old set.
Old
It's
set.
so funny. It's so funny because it's like it's the most recent set, but with the whole announcement and everything, it's like we don't even get a chance to enjoy it.
Well, actually, things are slowing down, but they're gonna shove more news at us. Anyways, to stay on topic, Atraxa had an effect where she mentioned that when she entered the battlefield, she got to pick a card from each card type, and in the text, one of the card types they mentioned. See, you got it. One of the things they mentioned was battle. We have no idea what battles are.
Yeah, battle is definitely something new. And for today's episode, we're probably just gonna speculate on what could battle be. And the Wizards are really hyped, and then they said that like, oh, Marching the Machines are going to forever change, how Magic plays in the multiverse. So, is this what they mean by it's gonna change everything, or it's just them hyping it up to sell things?
Well, new card types always change things entirely, like planeswalkers.
Yeah, and then tribal was cool, but I don't think they made enough tribal cards to be honest.
I mean,
No, I know, right?
tribal isn't that important though.
It's not, but I just remember like the impact behind it because of cards such as Tarmogoyf counting tribal, and then people were looking forward to it. And
Well, like, imagine something like Dragon Tribal, and it's like you search your library for a Dragon card, and you get like an instant instead.
But the thing was, it's a little confusing, but like nothing stopped the card from having like a creature type associated with it. And
yeah, exactly. So that's probably why it didn't do so well. It kind of flopped. Like for example, Mitchell, you brought up that Sarkhan's Triumph. That is a 3-mana instant from I believe Fate Reforged. So that could have been Dragon Tribal, but it didn't do it. So, anyways, battle. What's it gonna be? Who wants to go first and tell us their predictions?
I literally just like spawned something in my mind.
All right, what's your idea? What do you want a battle to be, or what do you think it's going to be?
All right, so like the commander, or like the commander decks that they're releasing, right? And
the newest ones, the one with Planechase.
Yeah, the ones with Planechase.
Okay.
What if?
It's
like a mechanic of like Planechase.
Oh.
But like not, or like, all right. So the card, since it has to be in the deck, but we were just talking about this, like where like emblems go, like in the command zone, in like a 1v1 format, or I guess, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, yeah. I want to double check on my phone, but I remember reading some time ago, emblems actually spawn the command zone.
I always thought emblems were just attached to a player, kind of like experience counters and poison counters, but
that's what I was. Yeah.
I guess command zone could work too. Like it's just a ethereal place where you just put things there.
So like, what if like if it comes from the deck, but like it goes in the command zone?
Yeah. So according to MTG fandom, the command zone's where emblems go. It's also where arch enemy schemes, Yugioh, Planechase, and Vanguard cards, and EDH commanders.
Okay, I guess that's fair. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know if I like that idea because that means that they're uninteractable if they just immediately go into a zone that you cannot touch.
And that's probably what they're talking about. Like we're going to change how the multiverse plays with each other.
I'm here like, oh no, don't be like energy. Because
And,
energy
like-
was not interactable, and that's the reason why it was like too strong.
Well, I think this would be interactable because like if we think that, or I think that battles are going to be like set objectives that like a player or players meet, and then like you move on to like the next objective of it. Kind of like eventually you move through all the objectives and then the battle ends. So then the battle goes to the graveyard. That might, I don't know. It's just a wild guess.
Okay, I guess that's fair.
And I guess this also segues to what I was thinking. Like, it could also be like battles could be like something from Yugioh. Like, they're called field spells, and they kind of like are there, and they're played for free. So what if would a battle be played for free, or would there be would there be a mana cost tied to it?
I would. There should be a mana cost always tied to it.
Me personally, my prediction. I'll wait. But I'm here thinking that like I think it'd be too strong if it was free, especially if they actually have very powerful effects or synergies. Even if you have to work towards them, it just might tip the balance into a particular deck or style of deck way too much if it's for free. Even the Modern Horizons elementals, like they're quote unquote free, but you have to pitch a card to it. But because you're able to have that alternate casting cost, it's just they're way too good and they're dominating the format. And then assuming that a battle can give the same amount of impact, if not more, because assuming there are multiple objectives or phases like you're suggesting or your idea before one, then yeah, it would be the worst thing that Wizards would print because I don't think anyone would enjoy it because everything would be way too OP.
I can just imagine, like, I mean, I'm like, this is like if the battles are going to be uninteractable, like if they would be uninteractable, like I could totally see like someone like, all right, I sacrifice my 3 Phyrexian creatures to start like this Phyrexian battle or something like that, or whatnot. And like think of like a Yu-Gi-Oh cost is like oh yeah, I sacrifice all these stuff, or I discard my hand and I initiate this battle or something like that. That would be crazy, but I mean that would be a wild cost.
I think though we can all agree that whenever Wizards tries to do something new for the first time, it's either horribly broken
or just
or so weak, and yeah.
And I'm gonna lean towards it's probably gonna be broken because they've been pushing power levels more, and so
I agree.
Yeah, I think they're willing to take the risk, and I think that's fine.
That's what I'm just trying to think of, like the most broken thing that they could do, and it's to play these for free.
Don't. No.
Me personally, like I think, yeah, you're probably right. They're probably going to push the envelope because they want to set the sell, right? But the way how I would imagine it is that it's probably a new permanent type. You pay some sort of mana cost, and they probably have some kind of like weird map layout of like, oh yeah, battle on Strixhaven or something, or battle for the Biblioplex, whatever, some sort of like lore thing, and then you probably have like phases where each player, you have to keep track of who's on which phase, and then if you do a certain objective, you'll move down the phases and you get a benefit. And I imagine that some decks are probably going to take more advantage of it, and it's going to be so snowbally, and it's going to be really like obnoxious.
It might be obnoxious, but I'm not saying this is where Wizards should go. But I mean, I don't know. I mean,
yeah, that's the thing. Is like, I don't think
change.
We'll see. Like that's just my thing. Is that I think it's going to be a mix between a saga, a dungeon, some sort of permanent type you put on the battlefield, and then you give like a mini game within a mini game, right? And they'll
Oh,
probably do something where it's like, oh, it's lower objective. So if it's a battle at Zendikar, probably land focused. Who knows? Or if it's a battle on Strixhaven for the Biblioplex, it's probably Magecraft like eccentric, where it's like, oh yeah, like if you cast like 3 instants if you copy or cast like 3 instant sorcery spells, that's the first objective. Boom, something happens. You get some sort of crazy benefit. Objective number 2, you gotta do something else, and then finally, when you do the third objective, you'll get something, and then the battle will proceed to, go to the graveyard probably after that. Kind of like a saga.
I don't know if Wizards ever learned their lesson, but and I doubt it for now. But what you just mentioned is horribly complex to keep track of.
That's what I mean. Is like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's something ridiculous and nobody wants to do it, or those who do want to do it, they'll probably get rewarded for it. Similar to how Initiative totally destroyed Legacy.
I like Initiative, but
Initiative is fantastic, but in like a 1v1 format, when you can turbo out turn 1 and either I have the force of will for the White Plume Adventure, rest in peace, White Plume Adventure, you will be missed,
not my
or
cube.
I lose.
You're about to be added to my cube.
Yeah. So White Plume Adventure, died for our sins because Undercity is too OP for a 1v1 format.
He died for our sins.
After
I think a White Plume Adventure is actually a girl, right?
Yeah, it's a female orc.
Yeah, female. Yeah, so she died for our sins.
I haven't looked at the card really. All I know is that it's White Plume Adventurer. So
White Plume Adventurer is like one of the reasons why I was thinking about. Oh, I can totally afford to play Legacy now.
Yeah,
kind of. It
was one of the cards that like I was really big on for Baldur's Gate, and I have like 4 or 5 copies just sitting around different decks, and it's sad now. It's a sad time.
Yeah, but that's what I mean though. I think battles are probably going to be totally fair for Commander, right? Because for 4 players, it could be.
Commander, it's going to be in a standard set.
No,
it's going to be in a standard set. Yeah,
it's going to be a standard set, but it's going to be legal in multiple formats, right?
Yeah.
And I imagine that in Commander it'll be okay because assuming that there are 4 mature adults playing the game and they know how to place themselves.
Hold on, I play a children's card game.
Mature adults in the sense that like oh, okay, that's how it works. All right, and then proper threat assessment. Are you okay?
I only play death games. Like, hold on here. If we're not dying, I ain't playing.
I imagine, but that's the thing, though. I imagine 1v1, there's probably way too much snowball-y advantages for like one player.
See, when you make it sound like that, I don't think it's going to be in standard that designed the way you intended it, or the way you're looking at it.
It might not be. I don't know. I'm just saying that like it's a battle. Like
I was thinking,
how do you
I was thinking something more like day and night, as like horribly. That's a horrible mechanic.
Day and night was actually, I thought it was fine. It's like it's cool and flavorful. The only downside is that it is a pain in the butt you have to track it.
Yeah, and actually, you have to track it. Even any of the creatures are off the battlefield.
Oh yeah, you have to track it because it dictates what side they enter on, which I think is fantastic flavor wise.
It is horrible implementation.
Yeah. It is. You win some, you lose some. So I imagine it's gonna be the same thing with like battle. Is like either flavor wise, it's gonna be fantastic, but power level is gonna be terrible, or mechanics, or vice versa, where like the mechanics and whatever is fantastic, and then like the flavor just doesn't make any sense, or it's obnoxious.
I think my speculation is like somewhere in the middle between yours and Mitchell's, because the way I'm imagining it is I don't think it's a permanent, because battles aren't really permanent.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think of like a battlefield, because it could be like a world enchantment style thing where it's like boom, it's there. It affects both players.
Yeah,
But then it would be called a world enchantment, or
just an enchantment like Sulfuric Vortex.
No, because I feel like if it's world enchantment, it would make sense because that's where it's taking place on the battlefield.
Wait.
And
That's
it's
what-
like, and if
that's
you
what-
play another one, then it replaces that battle. Kind of like how, what is it?
Planechase, right?
Well, yeah, kind of like Planechase, but it's like, if we think about March of the Machines, and like it's supposed to be a bunch of planes against
Mhm.
each other or against phyrexia, and it's just all this misamalgamation going on. Like I could totally see it being like a world enchantment mechanic where it's like there can only be one battle taking
Yeah.
place.
That's what I'm thinking. And it just makes sense because like it's what better flavor wise and story wise to capsulate like the intensity of like a plane fighting for its life, where it's like each plane has a set of objectives that's a kind of flavorful to the thing. Like Strixhaven, it's all about wizardry and sorceries and copying, casting instants and sorceries, magecraft stuff.
Could be like whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery.
Yeah, exactly. Or copy this or something like that, and then you get benefits, and it just makes sense. So,
But knowing wizards, I actually don't think it. I agree with Chris. I don't think it's going to be a permanent. Like, I feel like it's going to be
but how?
something in the.
But how would
dynamic.
you keep track of it then? Like, is it a
Okay.
spell that you just cast? It goes to your graveyard, and then like,
No.
or do you cast it? It has to get moved to your command zone.
Let me explain. Let me tell you guys my great idea. All right.
Okay.
You're gonna cast it like a sorcery. It's gonna be played at sorcery speed. And if it resolves, it goes straight to the command zone. And it's gonna be like kind of like Mirrodin Besieged. Well, I don't know if Mirrodin Besieged is the correct one. But it'll be like basically a card like what you said with like I think it's gonna have like two objectives. A condition for you and a condition for your opponent. And then if you complete those conditions, you get whatever, like one or the other, because battles are back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
If you complete the condition, you get a benefit.
Oh, so it's like if you beat the condition, then it's like you won the battle. But if your opponent, then it's like they won the battle.
Yeah, I have a feeling they won't do it that way now that I talked about it, because that creates a lot of feel bad scenarios too.
It does. Can you imagine if like you play your own battle, like you invest mana into it, your opponent, completes the objective first? It's gonna be regardless, battle is gonna be so snowbally, and it's gonna be so feels bad.
Well, what if like the way that you construct like your deck is that you have a battle that like is really that would complement like your playstyle, and it just doesn't really work with your opponents, so it's like you're kind of guaranteed to win.
That should be how it goes.
It should be how it goes. So, for example, like the battle for Strixhaven would be a spell slingery type of thing, right? So, obviously, an aggro deck wouldn't really benefit from it. But if
What do you
mean?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Like, we'll see. We will see how it goes. But like, for example, like if you had a battle on, like Lorwyn or something, or who knows? What's a very aggro-y place? I don't know.
I don't think it'll be stuff like that. I think it'll be more like. Oh, maybe you're right. Maybe it's like play 20 lands, have 20 lands in play.
Battles have to be like associated with. At least it doesn't have to be, but I imagine that for flavor reasons, like set construction, it would have to associate to a location in the multiverse, right?
Yeah, and then for flavor purposes, I can see why you would lean that way. But in general, I'm thinking of something like that's like very minimal to track. That would create interesting game dynamics. So having two conditions that, because suddenly for your opponent, they're like, oh crap, maybe I want to fulfill this win condition. And then for you, it's like I'm already ready, like because you played it, you're ready to go to complete that condition.
All right, hear me out. So here's what I'm thinking of. Like it's
all right, we're listening.
I'm listening.
I kind of like your idea, but so what if it's the card, right? Imagine the type of a card where if you want to pull up a saga, it doesn't matter what saga you pick.
Okay.
Binding of the old.
Okay. So you see how like I imagine that instead of having like the right column being like the picture of Urza sagas, it's like one side is your side, one side is your opponent's like objectives, and you kind of go down, and then basically the last one's going to be like, oh, if you did you finish it, then you
No.
get this emblematic like effect for your for the rest of the game or some shit.
I don't know about the rest of the game, but I feel like it would be kind of like an emblem, like a temporary emblem, and it's like once like the last condition is fulfilled, then it goes away, and then you get like said like reward or whatever. Like you create tokens, you create treasures, you get a bunch of mana, or you get an extra combat phase.
I guess it depends on like what they want to do. Like how big of a reward is it going to be? Is it going to be like a global emblem like effect where like for the rest of the game your mountains can ping for like 1 damage because you're wearing Zendikar, like the lands are angry at you. I don't know, we'll see. Or
dude, that'd be amazing if that was an
I don't know. I think like it kind of reminds me of Koth a little bit because they did my boy Koth a little dirty. But or like if we were to go to Warwind, right, and it's like, oh, you make like a bunch of like elf tokens or something like that, because I imagine the elves be like fighting back the Phyrexians or something. Like if it depends. Yeah, either way, I think that would be an interesting idea where it's a race against the clock where you and your opponent have to kind of like complete the objectives. It'd be interesting. Are they going to keep the objective or task the same for both you and your opponent, or are they going to make it different, or would they make it easier where it's like, oh, for you it'd be like, oh, let's say it's Strixhaven, you just need to cast 2 instant sorceries in 1 turn, whereas your opponent needs to cast 3 instant sorceries to finish the first objective or something like that.
Sorry, keep going.
Oh no, I'm just saying that like I'm just here like it's going to be either super fun or terrible. Snowball, it feels bad.
My only thing against that with like the 2 sides, I think it made sense in a 1v1 format, but if we think about it in the bigger sense of Commander and EDH,
oh, that's true.
Would that mean that your opponents just inherently have a bigger advantage over battles? Because it's like it would have to read like your opponents whenever your opponents fulfill this, because then, like Chris was saying, like easier to keep track of. Like say like because you would be putting a token like on your side, and then you'd be putting a token on your opponent's side. If there's opponents, then they could fulfill like the tracker much faster than you could theoretically.
So maybe. Well, now you put it that way, I forgot about Commander being a format. Even though we were talking about Commander right in the beginning.
No, for me, it was like my initial thing was like, oh, it's gonna be like designed with Commander in mind, because lately everything's been pushed for Commander, but then and then unfortunately, like when they scale things to be balanced to Commander, it's terrible in 1v1 like initiative. It just ruined Legacy.
White Plume Adventure deserves better.
Apparently it's super OP in Vintage too. I don't know if that's true or not, but someone decided to play like a couple White Plume Adventures in Vintage, and they were able to like get top 8.
Well,
and I was like, oh,
like you go Lotus into White Plume, fetch a land for next turn, you're good to go.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is like Vintage there's a lot of crazy busted stuff in Vintage, and people were I don't know if it's just a meme to prove a point that Initiative is just that good of a deck. We'll see. But back to the main point though, is that it could be like no, because it would be very bad if battles were like a duel where it's like choose you and choose a target opponent, and you're in this battle, right? And that could be good because in the game of Commander, you can probably pick out which of these opponents are less likely to complete the battle.
You're right. It could also just be like you and target opponent.
Yeah, so, it could be kind of like literally a duel between you guys, and then you have to race towards the objective.
That would probably be a better way better. Yeah.
That could be an interesting way to do it. I think it's like battle is really sweet and really cool idea, but I'm just worried about the implementation behind it.
I'm not. Well, it's because I play Cube, and just when they introduce multiplayer mechanics that are broken, it makes Cube broken, and generally that's fun.
I really want to play your Cube, and hopefully I can draft Initiative.
There's like only like maybe one initiative card, but yeah, when you actually no, there's two. But
There's only 2.
that's my normal cube. My commander cube has a bit more, but no, I think we're all on the track that it's gonna be players running for sure. It's gonna be players trying to complete objectives. What if it's like the curses?
Yeah, that's what it's like. You choose instead of maybe it's hard. I feel like it would be choose, but like you choose an opponent, and it's like you two are kind of like linked.
Yeah, you are in this battle.
I challenge you.
Exactly. It's like a duel, I think.
Like we're all thinking of like the commander curses, right? Like curses of Shallow Grave and whatnot.
Do you want me to load that up or
pull up Curse of Shallow Graves, Curse of Predation?
I'll do Curse of Predation.
Yeah, Predation.
So, are you talking about like you challenge an opponent or
like,
you attach it to your opponent?
Well, no, yeah, like
well, in this sense, we were gonna challenge our opponent, but I use this as a reference point because I don't know if any of you guys have played with this card in 1v1.
Oh yeah, 1v1 is terrible. That's the reason why in Iconic Masters it's put as a rare because it's way too good.
Yeah.
Which sucks because that card is awful.
It's
like outside the limited.
I was like, oh no, I'm like, yeah, okay, you're right. But it's like when you make a 3/3 Elvish Mystic, I ain't complaining.
No, yeah, I mean, I think in like a multiplayer format, this like the curses or like Curse of Predation are really strong, or like Curse of Opulence is like really strong too because it's like when you swing at the opponent, like you make a treasure, but then also the player that owns the curse makes a treasure too.
Yeah,
but that's the thing too, though, is that like is Wizards really going to design something like this? Because I don't know. I imagine that they want to try to make less feels bad, but who knows?
Sorry, I'm actually excited now.
Yeah, I'm like, you know what? These cards could be weird enough that they're busted.
Yeah, you're right.
You know what's gonna be funny too is that they're gonna have they're all gonna look really simple. Like the blue one, they're probably gonna be colored, and the blue one's gonna be like draw card.
But you know what? Like, I think just the idea of like challenging someone to a battle is like really like I feel like it creates this like out dynamic like part of the game, and I'm actually kind of excited. Like if it looks like if we're looking at this as the base, and it's like just think of like this side on this side, and then you both are like going down this road, like I think that would be I don't know. I think that's cool or exciting. Exciting, riveting gameplay.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dog came in.
Your dog is a special one indeed.
Yeah.
Nah, that's all good. My dogs are just chilling here. They're both asleep. But overall, I'm here thinking. I think
it could also be like. I mean, I wouldn't want it to be like a level up mechanic, like all right. Imagine like road class, but like both players having like the road thing, and then each player has to put mana into it. I don't know. I mean,
we have enchantments like that.
Huh?
We have enchantments like that already.
Like your opponents meet their requirement, or
yeah.
Oh, okay.
But do you mean like the terrible Ristic cards back in the day? Because the Mercadian Masks were just that weird set of time where they just wanted to make things so underpowered.
There was like cards that like say like, oh, anyone can do this effect or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna be like that, but you do have something here with the classes, because maybe like it might be a version of what Victor said, where as you complete objectives, you scale up your mission.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm thinking. Like it's probably like task/objective number 1. You move on. You do number 2, and then the third one is is your cash out. Like, what do you get?
Yeah.
Kind of like a saga, and then similar to the card frame, it'd just be interesting where the second column could be can be used for your opponent's side, and then they could just make the box opaque and show art wise of it's a specific location of a certain area. So
I don't know if there's any. I don't know if there's any cards. If it would be like for both opponents.
Well, that's the thing. It's like for it to make it a little bit more engaging. I want to imagine that you'll probably have one for, or they could just do one column, and then basically you just have to keep track of it. Of each player has to keep track of have they finished this objective, and then you move on to the next one, which could be a pain in the butt. But
wait, Victor, is your idea it affects both players or it affects just you?
What do you mean?
When you play a battle, do the objectives only apply to the player who played it, or do they apply to both players?
My idea was it affects both, because a battle is you're fighting for your life to win something. So then you pick an opponent, and then you have your objective, you have your task sheet on one column. Your opponent has their task sheet on the other column. And then the final level 3, is whoever reaches level 3, they get their benefit. Whether it's you make 5 treasure tokens, you make 5 elf warriors, or you get this sweet emblem where it's your lands have tapped, deal 1 damage to any target. I don't know, something crazy like that, right? And of course or something like that. Who knows? But regardless, though, it's and then you could skew it where your opponent's objectives are a little bit harder than yours. It could be that way you're more incentivized to play it, or it could be something crazy where they're the same objectives, and then it's high risk, high reward. Whereas damn, if your opponent can outdo you, then you deserve to get F because you lost the battle. So I don't know. It could go either way. I think it'd be more interesting if it was 2 sets of random objectives, and you get to pick your opponent, and the objectives that your opponent gets are slightly harder to pull off than you are. So that way it benefits you more because you are the one who are taking the time to play the mana cost as well as putting it into your deck.
And taking the time to meet the requirements as well.
Yeah.
Of whatever battle is. Oh god.
Yeah.
I just thought of what if the No. It's not that, because it has to be a card type because of Atraxa.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought it'd be a new permanent type that will stay on the battlefield, and then treat it as a global enchantment. There can only be 1 battle at a time, and then
But see, what I don't think of it as a permanent is that permanents can be removed. Can you really remove a battle taking place?
That's what I mean. Is that that's the only downside is that permanents usually have to be interacted with, and who knows, maybe they won't go with that route.
I don't think they would. It doesn't thematically. It doesn't make sense.
It's an emblem. It's a super emblem.
Yeah, but it's just weird because even if it's an emblem, it just doesn't feel right because I think of a location has to be a battle needs to be on the battlefield. Okay, it just has to.
Well, no, that's why I brought up the Planechase earlier. What if it's like a Planechase card in your deck, but then when you play it, then it's kind of it turns into an emblem.
So you're basically saying it's like a card type that brings in a Planechase card or venturing, right? Cards that say venture, you bring in dungeons, and then you are responsible for keeping track of your dungeons and bringing in dungeon cards to signify and show and keep track of your progress.
But that card thing is on the card itself, unless they make a token for it, which would probably make it easier.
It could. It could be like that where it's you pay the cost, right? The battle goes to the graveyard, but then to resolve that card, you bring in battle for whatever or you choose a battle amongst whatever, and then you bring in this giant token that has all these objectives on it. You could do that, and then that also makes it interesting because that means that battles are counterable, right? Because you had to place it on the stack.
Yeah, I mean, at least there's the interaction there, but I feel once it resolves, then that's you're kind of locked into this battle, and
until you complete the objective, right?
Yeah, and then after that, the battle then ceases to exist, and then like because it's a token, it will cease to exist, or it'll go to the graveyard and then it's exiled, and then you can start a new battle, or someone could maybe start another battle and remove that battle instead, because I feel like since it's it's multiverse versus everyone else, like everyone versus everyone, like
You could only be in one dimension at a time, right? Or one location at a time. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I could totally dig it.
And then you could deny it. You like imagine like someone's like trying to like get like finish the battle to get the big
Oh yeah,
It
yeah.
feels
That could be a really interesting way to like counterplay, right? It's like I can't stop you from getting that last objective, so I'm going to plane shift over to Alara, get your Strixhaven battle out of here.
And that's probably
problematic.
What?
That's. I just thought about what you guys said, and that's actually I don't think they're gonna do that.
You don't like
No.
once a battle is initiated, then no other battles can be placed until it's finished.
I think so. Do you guys? Because it reminds me of the why Wizards changed the ruling on Legendary.
Yeah, because the legend rule feels bad because a lot of people play things such as Phantasmal Image just to get rid of Thrun or to get rid of like problematic stuff. The mirror matches were awful because popular cards in competitive 1v1 formats, you're going to face a mirror match, and basically the person who is playing second better hope that they can cast a card and is like a terrible removal spell, or the person who's playing first like gets to like get a couple hits with the creature or something like that, or whatever benefit it may give before it gets removed with the legend rule.
Because if I remember correctly, back during like when Umeza was GT within the format, within standard, a lot of people at the sideboard GTs just to kill the other GT.
Oh.
It was like that, and that was that's not recent, but that was like 15 years ago.
Yeah, so yeah, but we'll see. I'm here thinking that like it could be interesting. I don't know. It's like I probably want that to be a thing because I think that's very flavorful and it's kind of hilarious. But to promote this new card type and to see it being used, they probably want to make it as busted as possible, which sounds really shitty. But
so you're saying you draw a card?
Well, or they could. Here's the thing: it's like it depends. Or they could just make these battles like not that crazy strong. Like the last objective is like draw a card. That would be terrible.
Or if you've drawn another card other than the first card of your turn, then yeah, I feel like it would be like that.
Yeah, but then that means that like if they're so weak, people wouldn't want to play them to begin with, right?
Hold on. That effect's not weak though.
Well, it depends. How much mana are you paying into it, and how many objectives do you have to complete before getting to draw a card?
Oh no, I thought you meant like one of the objectives is to draw a card.
Oh no, I'm thinking of like the cash out. Like, what do you get from completing this battle? Assuming that this is what a battle is.
I think it's simple, like draw two, or maybe draw a card if it's like
not even draw two, just draw a card is good enough. Surprisingly,
because since it's like not, you're already getting value from a card if it's going to be like a token, like that comes into play. Like you're already getting multiple values from from a token.
It's not going to be multiple values because you have to pay the mana cost to it, right? Assuming that you have to pay mana to put it on the stack and then resolve it.
I mean, to like when you meet like certain requirements, like after it resolves and it's like an emblem on the battlefield.
Okay, I'm a little confused here. Is drawing a card a reward or is it a task or objective?
Oh,
like, what is it?
What I mean is it's a reward.
It's a reward.
Because normally it's like the small little things like that. It'll be like draw a card, do 2 damage, gain some life, or so, like it's like small things that each of the colors will already be doing. Is normally the reward, but normally because of that puts blue way ahead of the competition. Because
I mean, you could do like black also has like you could draw 2 and then lose 2 life, like something like that.
All right, so let's have a fun exercise here. So let's say if we were to design a battle right now, what would it look like? Because I'm here thinking like, given if it's small little things like those where it's like, let's say a battle is like 3 mana. We'll figure out the cost later. Who knows? And this is like, I mentioned Strixhaven so much, but let's say this is the battle for Strixhaven or something like that. Task number 1. What would the first task be? Like, would you just be cast like 1 to 2 instants or sorceries in your turn and objective complete, and then you get to draw a card because you're investing 2 instants or sorceries?
Wait, cast.
Is that worth it?
Cast 2 instant sorceries in 1 turn. Do 2
Yeah,
damage split. That you. Oh no, and it'll be like fire, where you can do 2 damage up to 2 target creatures, divided evenly, or divided.
Yeah, sure.
Or Fort Bolt.
Yeah. Okay. And then task number 2. What's task number 2 going to be? And then let's say that it's something a little bit harder. Who knows? And then you get to draw 1 card, 2 cards. Is that good? Is that bad?
I mean, 1 or 2. I mean, I think
draw
that's
1's good. Draw 1's already good.
That's what I'm saying. Is like, it's like draw 1 is okay, but it depends on how difficult you make that task, right? Because if you make that task like, you have to invest so much into it.
But if you think about it, it's like you invest so much into it, you made that thing into a cantrip. You like whatever, like if it's to like, if whatever the task is, like if it's like deal 3 damage to like deal 3 damage with not what was it not creature non-combat like I'm just thinking of like a lightning bolt, like deal 3 damage to a creature not through combat.
Deal 3
like,
non-combat damage to a creature.
There we go. Thank you. You made like a lightning bolt into a cantrip.
Okay,
that's busted.
Right. That's cool.
I mean, yeah,
that actually is pretty cool because it'll, and then like, would you put like a third task, and then you get a final objective, or would you have the third thing be like your cash out, where it's like, oh, you get an emblem for like 3 turns or something like that?
If I was Wizards of the Coast, I would keep it at 3, like Sagas, and just keep it that way. Up until
That's what I'm thinking.
More comfortable with the design, I start messing around with it.
Yeah, okay. That seems like a fair thing then. But then how much mana would you have to put into it to make this balance where it's not too snowball or too strong?
Well, first off, it's basically a do-nothing card when you play it.
Exactly. So, but then there's like, but if you make it too cheap though, where it's
3
like,
mana it is. 3 mana.
3 mana.
All right, that's what I'm thinking. Like 3 mana seems fair. It doesn't seem like it's going to cost too much or too little.
3 mana makes it playable. 4 mana makes me have to think about my life.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of funny. All right, and then here's the thing too. Now is that would you then put an objective list for your opponent, or would they use the same objective list where they can also move along the thing too?
I think for the purposes of design, it would be the same.
Okay, and then they get the same kind of reward where they can fire you or cantrip, and then whatever the third one is.
Reanimate their Gristlebrand, an Archon of Cruelty.
Okay.
Something crazy like that.
Something
Yeah,
cracked out.
Yeah, okay. I think I can kind of dig that. So, ETB, choose an opponent. You and your opponent are in this battle, and then complete objective number 1. You get the reward, and then you move on to the second objective. Your opponent also kind of has to keep track of what objective they're on, or task. Yeah, whatever task they're on.
Yo, I'm imagining one of them is going to be like named Assemble the Healers. And it's like, at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 5 or more clerics, return target creature from graveyard to battlefield.
Yeah, some crazy cult, right?
Yeah, that's sick. 5 is a wild number.
5 is a wild number. I was
No. That sounds like a hilarious thing. Like, can you imagine if it's like we're in Dominaria and it's like battle for the Cabal stronghold?
Oh.
Like it's like some crazy cult thing, right? Or it's like, all right, objective number 1 is like, oh,
discard an opponent's a card from your opponent's hand.
Yeah, make your opponent discard a card from their hand. Objective number 2 is like, you have to like make them lose some life. I don't know, with non-combat because you want to drain people, right? It just makes sense.
Yeah.
And then number three is like control like 5 or more clerics, and you go reanimate your demon.
Or you bring a demon from the deck.
Oh yeah. That'd be cool too. Like you can. Maybe that's a little too good, but we'll see. We'll see. I'll think like maybe put a demon creature card directly from your hand onto the battlefield. I don't know.
Just play
Like-
Atraxa.
Just play Atraxa.
Trax is an angel. It's not gonna work that way.
She's the first.
But yeah, like
Yeah.
but yeah, that'd be a really cool one, right? And then you can make a really flavorful battle. That's like up for Capenna. I imagine Capenna's gonna be busted because you're gonna have treasure tokens.
Battle for Zendikar.
Yeah, battle for Zendikar.
Play a land.
Zendikar? No, would it be okay? That's too easy.
Play
I would say,
another
like,
land.
it was like you had to make like 2 lands need to enter the battlefield under your control. So you had to play like a fetch land, a land, or ramp spell. You know, it just makes sense, right?
Well, but I feel like that would be really good. Like have 2 lands enter the battlefield in 1 turn.
It would make evolving wilds worth playing in standard.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, you got a point here.
Bro, see, that's why I feel like the battles would be a good thing if they're trying to add like better, like, all right, so like you play Mind Rot and then you get like an additional effect with the Mind Rot, like that, like some basic card like that would be.
Yeah,
really...
that's what I mean. It's like it needs to be not too powerful of a reward, and then the objective needs to be like not too difficult, but like something that you have to like really consider building around, because you want to like have like that way it's like there's some risk and reward, because you can't make it too strong and too easy to pull off. And then also like if that task is way too easy, your opponent might be able to just like, you know, beat the battle, and then you probably get wrecked. Or can you imagine a mirror match? The mirror match would be terrible. You probably would side these out because it's like, you know, you probably don't want to invest the mana into it because your opponent will be the first one to like, you know, start working towards those objectives.
Yeah.
But regardless though, I think like the design space is really interesting. I'm kind of glad that we actually kind of worked it out, because I'm like, yeah, that actually would be kind of cool, you know, very flavorful.
Yeah, not like I keep looking at the Undersea, and I didn't realize this before, but they have been experimenting more with like things outside the game or in a different zone.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're like, wait, we can condense this design and make an entirely new card type that spawns in the command zone.
It's very possible.
That's in the deck. I feel like the in the deck part is like the important factor here, because like what makes like the Undercity and like the initiative and the dungeons really strong is that they're from outside the game, or it's like on multiple cards. Anything that with initiative,
I mean,
or
pay
venture in the dungeon,
the mana for it to happen.
It's true, but it's like universally available to you. Whereas like or maybe like what they're trying to make with the battles is that like it's not universally available because it's only tied to this one card.
Yeah, and I think that's fine, because like, you know, probably either all or nothing if you want to like put it in your deck archetype, right? Or either that, it's you could splash it in if like, for example, like, oh, my deck is like, you know, taking advantage of like these things, maybe it's worth like, and like, you know, playing high risk high reward type of thing. You know, for example, like I'm you know, back to the Strixhaven thing, playing 2 instants of sorcery spells like in a turn might be pretty doable. Dealing non-combat damage is like, oh, that's probably doable if you're like some sort of like counter burn deck. And then the third objective, who knows what it's going to be. I don't know. We'll think about it. But either way, it's like,
I would.
This particular battle. Counter spell. Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be that on the nose. Like, but either way, it's like, oh, but this particular battle is going to be very sweet for like this red blue tempo style deck, right? And let's say there's a battle for Zendikar one, right? The first one is having 2 lands enter the battlefield in a single turn. All right, second one, I don't know, what's another mechanic from Zendikar? Kicker. You know, it makes sense, right? It's like, oh, play the spell Kicked, where it makes sense. You want to ramp so that you can afford more mana to kick. It feeds into each other. And then the third one, I don't know. We'll figure that one out regardless. And then that makes sense. So a red-green or blue-green style deck, it just makes sense. You want to ramp and then kick to get like, you know, bigger payouts. It'll feel more natural. It'll fit the gameplay more fluidly.
I also forget that we are not looking at it from a limited perspective either.
Oh, limited? I don't know, man.
Yeah, because if you say if the like battle for Zendikar has ticker or whatever, that means ticker should
Has
be in.
has to be in the set.
I-
Yeah. Ooh.
Oh, I think these ones might be designed to be more generic, so that any deck is like able to achieve what they want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
So like non-combat damage is easy. Generate this much mana is easy.
Drawing an additional card, playing, probably casting a creature spell is one.
Yeah, that's gotta be definitely one.
Yeah, a really generic, easy one. So I guess it's similar to Landfall then, where it's like, you want generically easy mechanics that you get reward for playing a natural mechanic of the game. So casting like 1 or 2 instant sorcery spells.
Playing a land from your hand.
Yeah, it could be like let's just say that Battle for Zendikar was super generic like that, where it's like just play a land from your hand and then play a creature. Something really generic and really easy.
But
yeah,
I
okay,
think
yeah.
we all brought up very good points of what battle could be, and I feel like we're close.
Yeah, I think they probably had all the same thoughts we did, just at R&D, and just quietly start tinkering them out to make them more
R&D,
playable.
just hire us.
Well, they're already done with it.
That's what I'm saying. Is like if a 3-man team can be able to discuss what they discussed in this short amount of time, I'm pretty sure we got some great, brilliant minds. R&D, just hit us up.
And then they playtest our ideas, but this is terrible.
Hey, not every idea is perfect off the bat. Things require rough drafts and modifications throughout its creation process.
All right. So I think that's pretty much all we need to say or have said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick, just to make sure we are unified on a couple of things.
Okay.
Me and Mitchell are on the idea that they're gonna spawn the command zone, and then Victor, you're on the idea that it's gonna be a permanent on the battlefield.
Yeah, I don't know. It just seems easier that way. And then who knows? Maybe they'll include a crazy card that's like, oh, destroy target land, non-basic land or battle. Who knows? Maybe that could be a thing.
What if it's like, here's a wild one. I was like, what if it's supposed to be attached to things?
Oh, that's just way
Like,
too much.
so like an enchantment aura?
Yeah.
Or is it just not even an enchantment aura? It's just a permanent called battle.
It's a permanent called battle, and it's like it's attached to itself to make things like battle worn or whatever.
It could be, but my only like
That's too wild.
like
Though.
I don't like it as a permanent because it can be just removed by like Utter End or under Anguish Unmaking. Like it doesn't make sense that you could remove a battle like that. I feel like you gotta.
Okay, yeah, I was like, okay, I'm on that track.
I guess that's fair too, but I don't know. I imagine that like having it be a permanent makes it easier to interact with, and people love being able to interact with things because if it's not interactable.
Have you seen Commander players? You interact with them once and they complain.
Oh, that's the point. I relish in their salt, but like it's just get good. I don't know. Besides the point, it's like I'm just laughing now because in my mind I'm here like, yeah, Commander players, they just want to play solitaire.
Counterspell. Oh my god, you counterspelled my thing.
Yeah, exactly. But the whole point, of good fair Magic is a back and forth between stuff, and the best way to do it is to interact with each other where it's, you're.
I don't play fair Magic because I play Commander and I just want to play a bunch of things without being interrupted. That's not fair. I don't want.
Ideally, I wouldn't want to be interrupted either. But let's be real here. Like at that point, you're just.
Man, we're just interrupting each other right now. Interaction.
Interaction. The natural process of life, where you must like, react to a person.
All right, but back to the original topic. So, for us, we're a little mixed on whether or not it'll be a permanent or not. majority, me and Mitchell, say it is. It isn't. While you say it is. I think we all agreed though that it's gonna be something involving objectives.
Yeah.
I don't think any.
Like a mini game of some kind.
Yeah, I don't think any of us said that it was gonna be any different.
It only makes sense. I mean, maybe I'm being ignorant and like I'm not thinking of it like outside of the box, but I feel like it would just. I mean, there's objectives on a battlefield, so.
Yeah, I can't see it being anything else, but yeah. So we
Other
all.
than that, maybe a field spell, like
Yeah.
from Yu-Gi-Oh, and it's just there. It's just there.
Yeah, but I feel maybe it's just me, but I think a field spell is very similar to a world enchantment.
Yeah, I was
It
gonna
would be.
lean into that.
I think the objective portion is just more interactive, like with the game itself.
Alright. What else did we say that we all agreed on about battle? Oh, it's gonna. We had an issue whether it's gonna be targeted
Yeah,
to opponents or it's just gonna affect everyone.
I think it would be choose. Like you choose an
Yeah,
opponent.
yeah,
I don't
choose
think
an
it would be
opponent.
target.
Okay. Okay, yeah, choose
Good.
versus. It's gonna be just you and another opponent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think it's gonna affect everyone only because it only makes sense that way that you got everyone involved in a battlefield.
Although I would like yeah, it does. I agree with you, Chris, on that. But I would love it if it was like, I challenge you to a battle.
Yeah,
For
that's
your
why I thought it was
soul.
kind of that. I don't know why I thought it'd be funny that kind of thing too, where it's like I'm gonna choose you. Yeah, I was like, yeah, thought the same thing.
I did not. Alright. I'm trying to think. Is there anything else that needs to be said about battles? So we figured out where we agree on, had a general conversation about.
brought up like multiple examples of like what have like been kind of like battles or what the battle could be.
Yeah. Regardless of all that, I think we're good. And none of it, nothing we said really mattered. But if we were right, we're right.
We were wrong with the planeswalkers, so
It's just fun chit chat. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, to be fair here, Wizards just hates Nahiri.
No, but didn't we say that Nahiri was objectively better than we thought?
As a character?
No, as a planeswalker card. I thought we're
No, her card's terrible. You don't even
Yeah,
play.
no.
You don't even play it in the format, in the draft format. You just avoid it.
Oh, it's terrible. Well, yeah.
Well, it's like I wanted her to be good because the idea of like, her lithomancy making weapons and stuff sounds fantastic, but she doesn't even really have that. I guess kind of her zero. You get back an artifact.
She's
right?
terrible. She should just stop.
Like
Just
that's what I'm saying is like she has such she's so cool in the story and the lore, but gameplay wise, she's not very good.
But I get to draw and discard a card.
Boros
Wait.
madness.
Yeah. So, anyways, yeah, battles. We got an idea. If we're wrong, we're wrong. Wizards, listen.
Hire us.
I need it.
Yeah, we struggle it out here.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind a job that I love.
They'll hire you for cheap. Don't worry. They got you.
Oh man.
All right. With all that being done and said, we're gonna sign out off right now. My name's Chris. I run
And
Wake
I'm
Up Game.
Victor.
Interaction,
baby. How does that feel?
We should have like a soundboard for like every time someone gets interrupted. It's like a random counterspell gets thrown up.
Would it be counterspell or would it be like lightning bolt? Lightning bolt.
Lightning bolt.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, how does that feel? Does it make you consider your life choices and feel salty?
I'm gonna have to force him to date that and just talk.
Skullcrack.
Oh my goodness. What's the summary dismissal? I exile all spells off the stack.
Okay, Continue, Chris.
All right, so Chris, also known as Wake Up People. I run wakeupgaming.com. I write cube stuff. If you see this live, we're on my YouTube channel, and if you don't see it live, we're at Wake Up Gaming.
And Maho Shonen.
And and this needs to be uploaded to Maho Shonen. I do need to remember to do that. All right.
And I'm Victor. Work in progress name. We'll figure it out eventually. Yeah. Hopefully we get some people actually commenting ideas.
And I'm Mitchell, also Blueberry Lover, and on Blueberry Lover on YouTube. And we also have another channel, Maho Shonen. Hopefully we get gameplay up there soon of like our commander games. Well, we're trying to set it up with Cockatrice, so join us there.
Oh, and then possibly deck tech too, because I have been building so many deck ideas, and I've been wanting to test it out. If you guys are interested in deck tech ideas, or how like we come across like these crazy sweet brews, let us know.
That'd be sick.
Yeah.
All right. Later, folks. And I'm signing off.
Good night, everybody. Or